Yes, I am very sure. Alright, guys, let me double check a couple things. Make sure it's all live on YouTube and whatnot. Making sure we're good and set and ready to go. There we go. Doop, doop. All right, guys. We're live. So, I figured it'd be good to check a couple to chat with you guys since I've been gone for about a week and a half ish, and that's quite a bit of time to to be away from doing YouTube and whatnot. It's a pretty long time to be away, and I figured it might be fun to kind of go try to chat with you guys to make sure for a little bit. So anyway, now that the stream's working, so we can go ahead and take all this out. But anyways, so I was working on the video. I finished up the video last Sunday, and I was working on some new stuff for a video on Monday, and I kind of came to the realization that I was letting YouTube and some of the other things I was doing like take away from the important things. Like I would be so busy, working on these videos for you guys that I wouldn't hear, I would hear my family tell me, "Hey, it's time to eat," and food is a wonderful thing to me, and that kind of told me that I kind of needed to take a very kind of like a brief 2 week break from posting videos, and I thought about how long I've been doing these videos and how long I've been putting these up. And if you guys didn't know, I've been doing these for almost about 3 years now. And I haven't taken a week break from doing videos since I was around 100 subscribers. And that time, I basically went off the grid for like a week and a half. I didn't touch my console, didn't touch my laptop, didn't touch my Yu-Gi-Oh cards because I was dealing with some personal issues. And this time I didn't quite. I was still over on the Facebook page and on the social media, posting a little bit more often because I kind of wanted to take some time to figure out where I wanted to take the channel, because I definitely have been noticing that my subscriber base has been dropping. It hasn't been moving as fast as I can. And part of that is so I figured it was more than enough time to kind of take a break and figure out what I wanted to do with the channel. One thing I kind of did some thinking, and what brought you guys here in the first place was one of the things that makes me different from other isn't so much the diversity, which is something I've always tried. It's the fact that you guys like some of the funny content. I feel like going back to maybe the salt mines of Yu-Gi-Oh is definitely something that while it's difficult to put it together, I really enjoy. I think you guys really enjoyed those salt mines of Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Um, in general, and I'm going to probably go back to that. But enough about me, because we want to talk about the topic that everyone's talking about, which is the ban list. So for the ban list, we did have so Konami did tell us on their blog that we're on their ban list page that we're not getting a list until August earliest, which is that first day happens to be today. And they also said that on their other thing, updating the stuff, some of the sets that are coming out this year, that they will reevaluate the list when we get when September rolls around and they've seen some regional results. Now, we all know that there are some clear problems in our format, but Konami needs to sell some of these products. So I don't think, but I do think that there are some cards that are definite problems and need to go. Starting off with one now, instead of starting with Zodiac, because it's what everyone knows, one card I feel like that just needs to just die is, and this isn't salt, this isn't like, I feel like Masterpiece needs to get straight up, just go to nothing to get banned. Although I've heard a lot of players say that limiting it to one would help fix the problem, but I think the OCG begs to differ with that. Now, granted, they have more traps than we do, so that's definitely something to think about, but they also have Harpy's Feather Duster. Even with one Draconic Diagram and one Masterpiece, the deck is still best deck in the OCG because of the invoked spellbook engine, different variants. But just because Masterpiece is a card, it basically like it it's the type of card that is going to have to get just straight up banned, because cards like this, like it's literally like a combination of Dark Destroyer and Towers, but it's better than both of them, because Dark Destroyer, while it can tag in and pop, it doesn't have to. It doesn't pop cards just by sitting on the field. Um, and Towers, while it does remove cards from your hand, it doesn't have any effects that actually stop you from activating effects, and it can't interrupt you on your turn. And those are the type of cards that Konami has been very careful about putting on the ban list. Cards that allow you to set up your combos and then play on their turn are all on the ban list. Cards like Artifact Moraltic, cards like Monarch Stormforth, cards like Kirin is completely banned. They're just a lot of these cards are just going. I feel like with Masterpiece, if Konami wants Links to be a thing, they're gonna have to kill this card, because that deck is. And I feel like the Invoked Engine is not nearly. It's not the problem, even though Markaba and a lot of those cards are really strong. And the spellbook, and they're not going to touch the spellbook engine because it hasn't even really come out yet. So the natural reaction is to just ban Masterpiece and get it out of there, because Link decks are just not going to be able to do anything while this card exists, because looking at the current Link lineup, there is nothing that can actually big enough to beat over this card besides Topologic Bomber Dragon, and that thing is pretty difficult to summon in a lot of cases. So Masterpiece just needs to go. As far as the Zoo Engine, we all know what needs to go. I feel like at least minimum Dryden needs to be banned. I actually think Rat is fine at 2. I don't think you really need to limit it. I feel like it's a little bit like the modern Ringborn Tengu, in that 2 is going to be the perfect number for it. There could be a time well down the road where it comes back. It's going to probably sit at 2 for the foreseeable future, but there will be a time where Rat will be back at 3. And I feel like Tengu, I don't feel like Rat, because people don't really care about Rat anymore. That's one of the things I found out playing against Zodiacs, is that, yeah, you can DD Crow their Rat, but it doesn't really, because Shakanine is a card, it doesn't really accomplish very much. And as far as the other main deck monsters, the only monster that's really broken in the deck is Whiptail, because Whiptail is only as good as the aggressive monsters you have to put out on it. Unless you have something like Trident, you're just not going to be able to the deck is just not going to have as many aggro plays. And I just feel like I don't feel like any of the main deck Zodiac monsters need to be touched. Tinky is a card that I don't think needs to be touched either. Tinky, we saw what happened in the OCG. They limited it, and the deck was still good because Barrage is broken. And I think this is going to be similar to the Manju situation, where they limited Manju and then pulled it back to 3. And I think the TCG is going to read that, and I think we're going to still have 3 Tankies. So if you happen to be playing something like Moonlights or something like that, it's not going to really be a problem. And as far as the other Exceeds, Dryden and Broadbull are clearly the ones that are the most powerful. Broadbull is a generic rank 3. It is not a hard once per turn, and on its either effect or summoning. So while you're not, I feel like limiting Broadbull, because of Norden being banned, limiting Broadbull doesn't accomplish very much, because without Norden, you don't have as many ways to climb into more Broadbulls, especially with Link summoning being a thing. It's a lot harder to establish those crazy Zodiac boards like you are accustomed to. Yes, Mrs. Radiant is a card, but we don't have Proxy Dragon yet, so I feel like banning Broadbull is the appropriate option, and same thing for Dryden. Shakanine is a card that I could possibly, if they decide that, but again, I feel like these are clearly they've been the problem all along. Broadbull in particular has always been the problem card for the deck, and I feel like and Barrage, it's difficult to say, because you cannot, even with Dryden and Broadbull banned, you can't keep Barrage at 3, because as long as Shakanine exists, the deck is still splashable. Barrage is what makes the deck splashable, because popping your own cards and getting a monster from your deck for free is really, really good. I think you could probably limit it, but it really depends on if Konami wants to completely just kill off the deck and make it go away. And I think they may do that, because if the OCG is an indicator, unless you just completely slaughter the deck, it is going to keep cropping up. And so, personally, I would say you could limit or ban Barrage, Broad and Dryden and Broad Bull are banned, and also I think that's all you really need to do for the deck. Um, as far as other cards, we do have the True King and the Dinos. Um, Diagram is a card I definitely think is going to be touched at some point, but it really depends on whether Konami wants to touch it now rather than later. Diagram is an incredibly powerful card, but at the same time, is Konami wanting to hit it now because it did just come out? And unlike Masterpiece, with Masterpiece gone, there aren't. It does limit the splashability to a certain extent. Um, could Hey Yossi, what's up? And anyway, Diagram, I could personally see Konami possibly hitting it to 2, but I feel like 1, if you hit it to 1, dinosaurs are still very playable because lost. But it really depends on whether you think Diagram needs to be hit, or whether you think terraforming or is the field spell. So it really depends on how you feel about the dinosaurs, because I feel like dinosaurs are still really powerful. Um, if I were to really hit dinosaurs, I would feel like the best card in a deck to hit would either be the babies or Overraptor. Overraptor, but the thing is, you really only need one Overraptor. So honestly, I would say limiting Diagram would be the greatest option, because the thing is, as long as dinosaurs, Zodiacs, and True Dracos are hanging around, Link decks are not going to be able to do much of anything. So yes. But overall, much as I would like, I feel like Diagrams. As far as other things people are talking about, I've heard a lot of people talking about terraforming, and I do think it is due for a hit. I feel like in the OCG they semi-limited it, but I feel like Konami's going to take a much more stringent approach and just put it to 1. And that does make me sad, because Herald is one of my favorite decks. And the first thing I did with is my first thing when I showed my friend my list. He said, "You put terraforming to 3. Ritual Sanctuary is that fucking important. You need to see it turn 1." And I did, and I have not looked back. I played 3 terraforming in that deck every time I build the deck. But I have to admit that terraforming, you have to argue, is terraforming the problem, or are the field spells the problem? It's this whole eternal thing where is the enabler or the problem the problem? And um, the fact is, I feel like outside of Diagram, there aren't a ton of powerful field spells that we are getting coming in the near future. Um, don't get me wrong, like Spiral Resort is an incredibly strong card, but do I think Spiral Resort, is Resort is one of the most? But the thing is Spirals inherently can access that card with ease without terraforming. So it really depends on whether Konami wants to. But it is going to get hit. Like whether it's limit, I think it's going to go to 1. But I really am iffy on, like, I have a love hate. I love Terraforming is one of my favorite cards in the game. I would be sad to see it hit, but it is going to get hit. Like, you kind of have to accept. The same thing with Terratop. I said I really wanted it to stay at 3, but I got to a point where I was just like, it's going to go to 1. And same thing with Terraforming. It's going to happen because set rotation. Set rotation's a thing, and Metaverse, which is the new trap card. I don't know if Dawn has it. Here it is basically Terraforming but slower. Konami, now granted, Metaverse has a little bit more flexibility because you can activate it and then activate a field spell on your opponent's turn. So, yeah. You haven't missed much. Rafflesia, you haven't missed much. I've been kind of going over the ban list and updating you what's been going on. Have this tomorrow. Lots of fun. But yeah, I'm gonna have to finish up that tomorrow. That's not fun. It's not gonna be fun, but adulting is not fun in general. But anyway, back to terraforming. Terraforming is a card that's gonna eventually is going to go to 1, and I think it's inevitable. But as far as things that could come off the list, now we all know Exiton's coming off the list because it was and same thing with Witch, because it was reprinted in the and we all know it's coming off the list, and people have constantly debated this card. I have been always an advocate of Exiton because I feel like it punishes people who overextend turn 1, and we need cards like that in our game. And I feel like it was banned at a very odd time because it was right when we got Cosmos, and I don't think Exiton would have been relevant it was very good during Necros format because Necros wasn't a very floaty deck. And I feel like now it would be really good because you don't have a very floaty format. But it's one of those cards you could argue that should stay banned because there'll be times where it's relevant, there'll be times where it won't be. But you know, I'll be I have a secret rare I'll be happy to use again. And which coming off the list, I don't feel like this is nearly as relevant as Sangan coming off the list because Sangan is actually not a bad card in Link format. Now, hold with me for a minute. So one thing I noticed, a lot of people were talking about it in the Discord. It's talking about Sangan, where the reason Tour Guide is so good, you can go Tour Guide into Sangan, even with the errata, you can Link Summon with it. And let's just say I open Link Slayer plus Tour Guide. I can go Link Slayer, summon Tour Guide effect, special summon Sangan, and then Link Summon all three of those for Decode Talker. And then Sangan's effect triggers because it was sent from the field to the graveyard, and it will search me any hand trap in the game, along with a myriad of other really good cards. I can't activate cards with that name that turn, but it doesn't matter if it's a hand trap, and I'm going to be fucking my opponent over with it. So, you know, it's the same. I feel like it's like, which is a little less relevant because the only really effective way to search it in a modern day is Time Star Magician. But are you really about wasting a Time Star Magician search on a Witch the Black Forest? No. No, you're not. But Witch is, I'm happy to at least see Witch back, but it's definitely a card that could have come back a long time ago. Other card I really think might come off the list is Preparation of Rites. So, you guys remember this card. Oh yeah, I do need a couple more renders. Actually, for this deck, this card right here and this card right here, I need them rendered. But anyway, Preparation of Rites is a card that I could actually see Konami bumping up off the list. Now, you could just say because of the OCG, that's not my only logic with Preparation of Rites. They want to push Vendreads are a new archetype that Konami is giving, and if Konami really wants to push that archetype, putting up Preparation of Rites to a second copy would help the deck tremendously, especially if the rest of the rituals are going to be between level 7 or lower. Preparation of Rites is an incredibly good card for ritual decks. Now it's not one extra copy of Preparation of Rites is not going to break Necros because Unicorn is still limited. Brianek is still limited. As long as Shruid is banned, unless they bump Brianek up to maybe 2, the deck is never going to be playable again. Necros is one of my favorite meta decks ever, but an extra copy of Preparation of Rites is not going to break the deck. And it also pumps. It also makes it also makes Herald Angels better. Because you would want to maximize, and if you're hitting terraforming, you could always giving them back Preparation Rites kind of makes sense. It really depends on whether Konami wants to pump this card up and push Vendreads. It doesn't seem like the card they're going to just bump straight to 3. It seems like the card they're going to bump it to 2, test it. If it does nothing, then it goes to 3. But I feel like Preparation Rites is a card that I definitely would target to look at the list and say, this card could probably come back. As far as that, I don't honestly think a lot is going to change with this list. I think another thing a lot of people are talking about is Max C getting banned. I've always had now, my thing with Max C is 99% of the match decks I play are decks I don't want to see Max C. Like this deck right here, it needs to special summon. And as a DDD player, when it was at 2, I hated seeing it because it basically meant I had to make an Oracle and pass my turn. And I feel like it's the type of card where it's good that it exists because it is a deterrent. But I also think Konami could possibly just straight up ban it because they do not like cards that are staples in everything. I think it's fine at 1, honestly, like in all sincerity. I think it's, even though it is a little bit luck-sacky, I think it's fine where it is because there is still a fairly high chance of drawing into it, but it's not, if you hit some of the, without, cards like Dagusto Emerald and these powerful, like with Zodiacs being gone, and I just don't see like Max C. I feel like Max C is fine where it is, but I could definitely see Konami just moving it from 1 to banned because I just think it's a really powerful card, and Konami doesn't like cards being a staple in everything. That's why Upstart, at least in the TCG, that's why Upstart is limited. That's why Mathematician's limited. And I could definitely see Maxi going from 1 to banned. It would make me sad because I have secret rares that I'd like to keep using, but it is what it is. Um, as far as like what I would like to see happen, we all know what card. If you guys have been subscribed any length of time, you know what cards I will cry every ban list to come back, which is Lavalval Chain. Lavalval Chain is a card that was banned, I feel, wrongly. When it was banned right before the clowns came out, but to kind of hinder that deck. But that deck wasn't that good, let's face it. And the thing with Lavalval Chain is that it was banned because of the Djinn lock and how good it was in Necros. Because if you there were a lot of just nuts combos with the card that you could stack a card on top of your deck and then activate Valkyrie, tributing the same Lavalval Chain and draw that same card. With all the draw power the game was getting, it was effectively becoming a search card. But with Upstart Goblin Limited and with a lot of these draw cards that we have, and especially with Link format, I think Lavalval Chain going to 1 wouldn't really do that much. I know people think I'm crazy, but are you crazy? Why do you want to bring that back? I understand why it is banned. It's banned for good reason because of some. I also think a lot of the FTK, like if you guys remember when it was banned, people were talking about blue-blooded Oni FTK, like it was relevant, like it mattered. But the thing is, the FTKs this card enables are all requiring multiples, and it's the same thing with Augusta Emerald. If you limit Emerald, you solve all the problems. You solve the loops, and it's the same thing with Lavalval Chain. It could go to 1, and it's not going to do anything. And that's how I feel about both cards. But Emerald, I could see getting limited or banned simply because of the nonsense it's been doing this format and how it's been a staple at 3 in a lot of Zodiac decks. But I feel like if Emerald can exist in this game, I don't see why Lavalval Chain can't. And of course, Construct. I understand Construct is an incredibly powerful card, but at the same time, I don't feel like Construct being at 1. Because the problem was the fact that you could summon one construct and L into another one in the same battle phase, and L Shaddoll Fusion is limited. If you possibly you could do is hit some of the light targets like Snow down, and it wouldn't be much of an issue. But as far as other changes, I don't see Konami hitting Gofu yet. I think Gofu is going to stay at 3 because Konami wants Link's decks to do something, and I've seen people being iffy on Gofu as of now. We'll see what happens when Proxy Dragon comes out. But Gofu's been pretty iffy for a lot of players from what I've seen. The whole Brilliant Fusion debate's another thing. I feel like the proper move is banning Seraph Knight because if you ban Brilliant Fusion or limit Brilliant Fusion doesn't fix the problem because it's searchable via the Predaplant engine and a lot of other cards in this game. But the main thing with Brilliant Fusion is that I feel like banning Seraph Knight is the proper move because, yes, there are other Gem Knight fusions like Zirconia that open up some neat combos. But at the same time, a lot of the other combos that are enabled by that are enabled by Brilliant Fusion are very niche. Like you're not playing Zirconia in every deck. You might play it in Gokis or Magnet Warriors. But I feel like Brilliant Fusion's generic usage is very limited without Seraph Knight. I think if you just because you don't understand how good that extra normal summon is for a deck like Stargrails. It's incredible, and I feel like just banning Seraph Knight will solve the problem because it having light is the other issues because there's so many good light attribute monsters in our game. I feel like if they're going to hit Brilliant Fusion, I would definitely ban Seraph Knight because most of the other usage for it are very niche outside of the Gem Knight engine. At least it's my opinion. But anyways, I think that's about all I really have to say. There's not a whole ton. I don't think this list is going to change as much as you guys think. I think Zoo is going to be slaughtered pretty effectively. But I think they're gonna kill off some of the top tier decks after Worlds, but that's about it. Like you're not going to see as many changes as you think you're gonna see, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. They could leave Zoo, they could minutely hit Zoo, and not hit it enough, and then hit it again on the next list. But again, they've been nibbling at the edges, and I think that it's pretty likely that everyone's talking about Zoo. They're tired of seeing it, and it's going to get slaughtered, and it needs to get slaughtered. And I feel like the same way about Masterpiece. I feel like Masterpiece, unless Konami wants a repeat of the OCG format, they just need to ban that thing. And I think if those two things happen, the game will be a lot more enjoyable, I think, for a lot of players. And Link Summoning will be able to get off the ground running. But anyway, I'll probably be on a little bit longer, and I can answer some of you guys' questions while I play a couple games with this deck. Billy, this is like just an early version of my Ying Zing deck I've been working on. I don't know if you hear the music, but I'm gonna try to turn it off. Give me a minute. I actually forgot that Dawn has it in the setting menus. Home. I really hate that they have the thing on full blast because I need to figure out how to turn it off in the settings. There's the music. No, turn it off. At least on stream. I had it muted, but you guys can still hear it through the microphone. If you guys have any questions on decks I'm working on or whatnot, I will be glad to answer. Answer while I'm playing. This deck's been testing well so far. Oh, okay. Interesting. Good hand. This is a pretty good hand. Okay. I've been seeing a lot of blue eyes on this server. I swear, like every other game is freaking Chaos Max Turbo. I swear, it's so fucking annoying. And I always find it funny because I'm playing Magicians. What do you think the chances of getting Torrential Tribute and Bottomless Trap Hole to 3? Torrential, I just don't think Konami's really interested in bringing back a disruptive card like Torrential. Bottomless, I could see them bringing it up to 2, possibly, but Torrential's a really powerful card, and I just don't see Konami bringing it off the list. If I'm completely honest, I just don't see them bringing it off the list. But that is me. That is just me. Danglong's a card people have been talking about, and I understand where people are coming from on the card, but I don't think it's something that needs to be hit. I think it's a good card, but we'll have to see what... if you hit dinosaurs, I don't think it's as relevant of a card. And I think it's the type of card where it's really good because you can reuse it, but it's also limiting it. I don't think would accomplish the problem. If you wanted to hurt Danglong, you'd have to hit it to 2. Nothing. I think it's one of those types of cards. All right. Okay, both Baoboon effects trigger. And I have the other scale in hand. I'm going to put that path back to the bottom. So I don't need that right now. And I'm going to put the steel in back. What do I think about Tricksters? I do not like them, but I do not like Tricksters very much. It's an annoying... it's a very irritating deck to play against. And, but I think that the deck is not going to like be a problem in our format. That's just how I feel about it. Oh, it's a Mirror Force. Would you look at that? All right. Okay. But I think it's a very Tricksters are a very solid deck. It's pretty consistent, but I just cannot get behind the way the deck just has a odd play style, and I can't get behind it as much as I would like to. It's just not a deck I think I can get behind. But it's a good deck, and I also like I talked about it in the video I did, one of the last couple videos I did. It is a very good as an engine, because you can what can you do with it? I'm trying to remember now. Oh yeah. As an engine, what you can do with Tricksters is you can play a couple copies of the field spell, and you can play 3 of the field spells, 3 of Candina, and 2 of, I forget her name, Lilybell, and 2 of Lilybells. And with 1 normal summon or 1 field spell, you can get a Holly Angel online as a Link 2. Hey, that's pretty good. I do not want to deal with Chaos Max. Bye, Felicia. Effect? Yes, I would like to. And I will go ahead and chain... Oh, not combination. I want chain counter. God damn it. Fucking retarded. Okay, that one, yeah. There we go. And what do I want to grab from the deck? defense mode. Yeah, I'm going to summon Stealing from the deck. And I'm going to grab Bixie, yeah. But I think Tricksters are a very good deck, but I don't think that the deck is going to be as good over here. It's going to be interesting to see. But I'm interested to see what people do with the deck. Ooh, Swords of Concealing Light. Okay. Now, look at that bluff, though. I still find it funny I hit the Mirror Force. Yeah, I can't use, I believe I cannot use Chaiwen's effect in the grave because I use its other effect this turn. It happens. But I have the Draco Net in hand, and if I can get the Draco Net off, I can Boxia away his stuff, and I'll be fine. I can't flip this, though, unfortunately. Okay, normal summon our Draco Net. See if we can get effect. Yes. Yay, no Ghost Dash. That Ghost Dash is like always the bait of my existence. But Tricksters seem like a very interested deck, and I am interested to kind of try the deck out as an engine because it seems pretty cool in that regard. But I definitely don't think they'll be as good over here. I'm going to go ahead and activate the effect. We're going to... So this is like where the bullshit starts. That's so I think every time I summon Baxi, I'm like, okay, this is where the nonsense begins. Spin those two. And I have a Jiaotu in hand, so I'm not going to be able to keep climbing in the extra deck, though. So, I think I want to do this. Let's grab a Suani from the deck, and maybe we'll just poke. I still haven't Pendulum Summon yet, so let's go ahead and see if we can put some of these bad boys back. Trying to think. I don't have a... Jiaotu's a tuner, so what can I make? I used Danglong, this already special Danglong this turn, so I cannot bring it back, but... I can bring Draco Net back. I can bring this back. Trying to think how I want to play this out. Because I can Link Summon here. I still have resources in hand. Okay, I know how to do this. Let's flip this guy up. So what do I want to pop? Yeah, the engine's pretty good. I've done some... the problem with it is, like, you have to play it in a deck that doesn't need its normal summon. And it really depends on whether the deck gets... The deck currently, being able to open 2 Link monster markers with 1 card is pretty good. So that's one of the main reasons it works, is because you have that... okay, so I can't make... oh yeah, because these are normals. I have to climb with Proxy Dragon first. Okay. Okay, I'm thinking which ones I want to send. Because Boxy's got to go for sure. And my extra deck zone's going to be clumped, so I really don't want to use. But I guess I have to. I should be able to make Decode Talker here, but do I not have one in my extra deck? I don't have a Decode Talker in my extra deck. Wah, 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 wah. We fucked up, boys. I haven't actually experimented that much with the extra deck. The theory was I only needed Mrs. Radiant, but let me actually pull up my extra deck. Link Spider can go, then Decode Talker go in. But they seem the deck itself, you know, it's like it's weird in that I can't get behind the way the deck plays, but I admire like some of the things the deck does. It's interesting. It's gonna be I'm just judging by what I'm thinking. It's not gonna be as bad as what's the deck's name now? It's not gonna be as bad as Melodious were, but it's not going to be a deck that's going to run around and be top tier shit. I feel like if you're looking at the next wave of support, Konami doesn't exactly have it in their priorities to make the deck meta. If you're looking at like the next couple waves of support, which is intentional, they want they don't they want to make they don't want an anime deck getting in the way of some of their top tier decks, if you know what I mean. So that's the one thing I do. But overall, I think I'm pretty happy with this list. I've been noticing, the only thing I've been noticing is I could probably use another level 8 synchro, and maybe another rank 3. I've noticed that Break Sword's only really good going second, so I might might play Meko Banganier maybe in that slot as well. Maybe cut Misrillium for that. But the extra deck space is so tight. There's no room at all. And I don't really know what I would do, to be completely honest. But Proxy Dragon, though, is I would say it is, while I don't think it'll be it could be more expensive than Norden was, at some point, because it is going to be a staple in just about every deck. It is that good, and I think that, my first thing I tried to do with the card was, ideally you're able to make a Decode Talker and then make a Proxy Dragon underneath it. And in most situations, that's all you should need, in a lot of decks. But the other thing is, if you have this card and if you have 3 monsters, you can turn this and those monsters into Decode Talker with this. This makes Decode Talker only a 3-card combo. You don't need to worry about other resources. It makes it a lot more efficient to climb into if you're playing normal monsters. But anyways, about comes to the end of the stream, guys. I thank you guys for tuning in. Next video should be up on Sunday. It really depends on when the cards arrive, because I've still got I still have I've got one. I need one more of these, and I need a few more cards. And yeah, I'll check the Discord when I get off. But I do need a few more. I have a few more cards on the way. This should be the first deck I do. I also think that Dark Magicians are about done. I have a list I like. I'm just got to wait for Spellbook of Knowledges, and I've got to wait for sneak prices to drop. And Magicians will be updated, and DDDs as well. So anyway, the bout comes to the end. And guys, let me know. We'll see you guys on Sunday.